it's time for my January reading wrap-up, and also to announce the reading challenge for February. So, kicking things off with the first book that I completed this year, I finally finished Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. This was a combination of reading the ebook and also listening to the audiobook, which was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed this story. It's about a black woman living in the 1970s, I believe, and she is inexplicably thrust into the past, into the time of slavery, all to protect a young boy that has connections to her family and her future. There was a lot of intrigue into what was happening, some peril, because there is just such unpredictability about when and how she's going to suddenly be thrust into the past. She flits back and forth between her present day and various timeframes in the past. So overall, I really enjoyed this novel, and I gave it 4.5 stars out of 5. I would highly recommend it. The next book on my list, which I actually have a physical copy of, is Hemlock and Silver by T. Kingfisher. Another book that I really enjoyed this month. I overall gave this a 4.25 out of 5. It's T. Kingfisher at their best. It's dark fairy tales, reimaginings, and it's just what they do best. So this one in particular is a reimagining of Snow White. It includes all of those elements that you associate with Snow White: apples, poison, mirrors, but she absolutely just has her own unique take on the story. She has crafted a completely new dark fairy tale, and I really enjoyed reading this. There is a little bit of romance in there as well, which I really enjoyed. I definitely liked the character dynamic between the characters. So, without giving too much away, it was a very good story. I then read Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, represented here by the second book. I don't have a physical copy of the first one, but I have this one from the library, so I can hopefully start this one fairly soon. So I read the first one on ebook, and another just really charming story. It's definitely cozier side of fantasy, done well, and I enjoyed the way it was told in her diary entries and the notes she's writing for the paper, the encyclopedia that she's putting together, all about the fairy worlds. other reviews about the relationship between Emily and Wendell, and it is just as charming and endearing as everyone says. Wendell is definitely an interesting character. He's got a lot of humour and charisma about him, so I'm very excited to see where their relationship and the events of their adventures takes them in the next ones. The next book I completed was actually a bit of a departure for me. I listened to the audiobook of Tim Curry's memoir, Vagabond. I didn't really have any plans to read that one initially, but it came up as available on Libby, so I thought, why not, let's give it a go. And the fact that Tim Curry actually narrates it himself was a bonus. Since he had quite a significant stroke back in 2012, he can still talk and communicate very eloquently, I might add. It sometimes just takes him a little while longer to get his words out, but I am so glad that he persisted and narrated his own memoir. It really just adds something more to it when it's their own story being told by them themselves. And it was really interesting to hear about his life growing up and his early career in the theatre, and talking about some of the movie roles that I really enjoy from him, and just hearing some of the backstage gossip. So it was very entertaining, and I would definitely recommend it. Easily a 4-star read for me. Now finally getting into the books that I read for the January reading challenge, I did actually finish Januaries by Olivie Blake. If I read nothing else, I at least wanted to read this book. The inspiration and namesake behind this month's challenge. And I'm happy to say I completed it, and again I did enjoy this one. I think just because of the nature of being a short story collection, which isn't necessarily my favourite, but most of the stories in here were really well done. So I gave this a 3.75, leaning towards a 4. I think just because it doesn't grip you in the same way that a full novel does. Maybe marked it down ever so slightly, but that's just my personal preference. And I don't read a lot of short story collections, but I am really glad I read this, and it's classic Olivie Blake imagination and her style of writing, and it was really, really good. If you want more of an in-depth review of this one, I'll tell you my favourite stories from each section. It was broken up into parts, titled Spring, Summer, Autumn and Winter. So, my favourite from Spring was Sucker for Pain, which is a witchy tale, but with a bit of a twist. And I don't want to give the game away and spoil it too much. But ultimately, it becomes a story about vengeance and becoming who you were meant to be. favourite from summer was the animation games. Which follows the story of a couple whose bodies get reanimated every time that they die. And just the chaos that ensues because of it. My favourite for autumn was Fates and Consequences, which ultimately is a tale set in the underworld run by Hades and Persephone. Although honourable mention goes to How to Dispel Friends and Curse People. It was a little different to the others, as it was laid out as poetic letters written to the village witch, and it was very short, but I really enjoyed the outcome and how it was written. And then my favourite for winter is Chaos Theory. This story contains multiple POVs, and they're all set in different places, and there are sometimes some character names that cross over, and you wonder, how is this connected? You know it has to be somehow, and it's satisfying when you do find out the connection and then how it all plays out for the finale. Now, I failed to read Exhalation by Ted Chiang, but what I did do was read the single short story from his other collection that I wanted to read, The Story of Your Life, which was then adapted into the movie Arrival. And I can safely say that it is a very good short story, and it very much plays out the way that the movie does. They obviously sprinkled in a bit more drama and peril into the movie to make it dramatic and cinematic, but ultimately it's a very faithful adaptation of the story. Knowing how the story ends, it allowed me to pick up on little moments, the things that they were discussing that then resonated and made sense. So yeah, I'm really glad that I pushed myself to read at least that one short story, because that's the one of Ted Chiang's that I really wanted to read. Moving on to the February reading challenge, and this month what I'm going to be doing is Fantasy February, but specifically Cozy Fantasy February. There are so many cozy fantasies that I want to read, and I just haven't yet. So this month is my sign to read as many as I can. And if that's something that interests you, then by all means, please read along with me. So, to start off with, I have quite a stack that I'm hoping to get through. I know I won't read them all. I will not read them all. But I do have several to choose from that I would like to get through. First up is Brigands and Breadknives by Travis Baldree. Now, I have already started this one, so I will definitely finish this month. And I have previously read Legends and Lattes and Bookshops and Bone Dust. priority is The Spellshop by Sarah Beth Durst. Look at this one. I love the edges and the cover. The cover of these books are just beautiful. I also have The Enchanted Greenhouse, so if I do really enjoy this one, then I've got the second one ready. But I think at least this month I would like to read just the first one of everything I have lined up. Unless of course I really, really enjoy this and I am chomping at the bit to read the next one. It is truly one of the most beautiful books that I own. I think that's partly why I haven't read it, because I actually own this one and I've been so focused on reading library books, and obviously they have a deadline before they're due back, so I've been prioritising those. But this month is for cozy fantasy, both ones that I own and library books. I also have Watermoon. This edition is stunning because it has the hard case underneath. The dust jacket is absolutely gorgeous. It's so cute and the story sounds really sweet. I did actually start a few chapters of this last year and I was enjoying it. I just lost track of it, so it was a bit of a soft DNF, but I am definitely going to pick this one back up. Another one which I can't believe I haven't got round to yet is Can't Spell Treason Without T by Rebecca Thorne. And I have the British Braided Edge paperback. It's super floppy, which I always enjoy. Another in the same vein as Legends and Lattes, of someone with a previously perilous career wanting to settle down and open a tea shop, coffee shop, bookshop, any of those types of things. So very excited about finally getting to this one. the series that was released last year. I bought them both with the promise that these were going to be amazing. I have only heard good reviews about these books. And finally, a couple more that I picked up from the library. The Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels by India Holt. This one has been on my radar for a little while now. And again, I just haven't got around to picking it up. It's one that I really am excited to read. So even if I don't get round to reading it in February for the challenge, I will probably still end up finishing it in time to return it to the library. So if it's not in the February wrap-up, hopefully it will be in a future one. And the very last book I have, because I need to stop at some point, is Nettle and a Bone by Kingfisher. I didn't really plan to, but I've been on a bit of a tea Kingfisher journey the last couple of months. The books have just been available at the library, so it's given me that nudge to read a few sustaining this rate, should be able to complete at least 50 books this year, which will be my highest number in the past few years of